I came last this time.
Yeah, I always come last. All right.
All right. Hunter, you want to...
Alright, so yeah, welcome back you guys to the 6th episode of the Bacon and Eggs podcast. First off, let me say, I feel like it's been forever, even though it's only been 1 week, but I've missed talking to you guys.
Oh my gosh, man.
I'm really excited that we've got some new topics to talk about. I mean, I feel like we've gotten pretty heavy, I think, the last couple topics.
Yeah.
So, for my week this time, I want to go a little more lighthearted, and I thought we could talk about some video games. Since all three of us love to play video games, I mean, why not, right?
Of course, man.
So I'm very excited to get into these. If you are new to the podcast, welcome. Well, we hope you have a good time. If you're returning, thank you so much. So let's jump right on into it. As soon as I pull up my first question here, because I forgot. Hang on. Okay, so I'm going to start off with Tylor for this one. I want to see, Tylor, what was your favorite video game, or what is your favorite video game, and why do you still play it?
All right, that second one came off a little bit more judgmental than...
I don't like your tone, mister.
This, Tylor?
My favorite game is the best game of all time, and it is... Let me see if I can get it back. You can't tell. Whatever, it's a themed poster. It's RuneScape. The massively multiplayer online role-playing game that has consumed the better part of 17 years of my life.
Amen, brother.
Why do I play it? Probably some sort of obsessive-compulsive part of me that just enjoys clicking boxes and watching experience go up. But
it's all about the grind, baby.
Yeah. So... As far as practically why I play video games in general, though, which is what I also went for. Let me move this over here. Use it as a good way to keep in touch with friends, which is, I think, what a lot of video gaming is about these days. Oh no, forgot. Sorry, I had to bring it up. Just a way to escape stress throughout the day, so it's a good stress relief thing for me. And really, what I've liked a lot is saves a lot of money. Because you go out, spend a bunch of money, go and do something cool, or you could disappear into video game world for 6 hours, 20
Tylor,
hours.
how much money have you spent on RuneScape?
On RuneScape Gold?
This is very true.
Ooh, probably a good bit. Say all... whole career, probably... Maybe up to like $500, probably.
Let's see. When did you start RuneScape?
Not that bad.
2005.
2005. How many accounts would you say you've had in that time?
Probably over 10 accounts. Only 3 or 4 that I've played for any substantial amount of time, though.
Right. I know you had that whole money-making thing going on there for a little while. That we won't delve into too much here,
and I sold my account?
Yeah.
Yeah, oof. Yeah, I hope this isn't watched by Jagex, but yeah, back when I was in high school, what's up?
No, Hunter, what was that you just took a drink of?
Oh, horse cum.
Sorry.
Was that just a giant cup of milk?
I got a bucket of horse cum that I'm drinking for protein now. I'm trying to lose weight. No, this is my protein smoothie. So it's pineapple, mango, protein powder, almond milk, and yogurt.
Okay, it sounds delicious. I'm sorry that I had to bring that up, but honestly, I thought that was milk, and I was like, it should not leave that much of a residue.
That's the same thing Tylor said. He's like, please tell me that's just a big-ass glass of milk.
In this episode of Jackass...
Yes.
All right, sorry to derail you. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
I was actually able in high school to sell my account 2 or maybe 3 times because they just were lazy and didn't change the password. And so, like, several $100s as a high schooler. That was pretty cool to make.
Or the email.
Hundreds of hours into it, but
yeah. You just kept recovering awesome. The email too.
Mm-hmm.
Dude. I mean, what else are you going to do? If it happens, if you do it once, you might feel bad, but if you're able to do it 3 times, it's their fault.
Yeah, I guess they should have a better system in place for that kind of thing.
Yeah, they really should.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of figured that was going to be the the answer that Tyler picked for number 1 here.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Well, I mean, what is it about RuneScape? Why RuneScape and not anything else?
See, I think I started it when I was young. I put a bunch of time into it, and then it felt familiar. It's easy to always go back to.
It's very forgiving.
Yeah.
Your own pace. You can jump on and do whatever you want whenever you want.
For the most part, there's no like, ooh, I can't get off right now. I'm stuck to the screen for 2 hours. I can always just log off.
Pause the game, Tyler. Just pause it.
Mom, I can't pause it.
It's online, Mom.
I will say it's been extremely difficult over the years to try to get you to play another game.
Set in my ways.
It's just been hard to find something that you kind of latch to. Well, recently we've been able to play Valheim a lot, which has been a lot of fun, and so that's
Valheim has been fun. It's not my favorite, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it more than I'm enjoying RuneScape right now. So
I'm sure we'll come back to it.
Always do.
Oh yeah, Alex, what's your favorite game?
So I hate to answer with the same question, or answer with the same answer.
Yes.
However, I think that my reasoning behind it might be a little bit more deep. So I'm gonna also say RuneScape, and why do I play it? Or okay, let's say favorite video game. I would say, even though I don't play it consistently and have not been playing it consistently for the past year, it has definitely been consuming my life for the past 15 years. And, I started probably in late 2006, early 2007. So that's right when the big nostalgia, that's everybody when they think back to, RuneScape, it's that 2007 to 2009 era of the game. And honestly, that was enough to keep me playing all those years, and then they brought old school RuneScape, and I was like, this is it. This is all I need in my life. As far as the why do I play it, so we would not be having this podcast right now if it were not for the game RuneScape. I think that in itself is a pretty cool answer as to why I continue to play it. Now, why did I play it before? Because it was a video game that I could get away from reality in. I could go be somebody else, and I could make myself look as cool as I wanted, and all that cool stuff. It's a role playing game, so you can kind of just do what you want and get away with it. And
yeah.
I think it's just fun. It's a fun world. It's extremely expansive. The graphics are dumbed down, so you can play it on almost any device, or you could play it almost on any computer back in the day. And growing up, I always had, kind of cheaper end computers, and I'd be able to play RuneScape pretty consistently. So maybe that's the main reason why I used to play it, was I could play it. And, through all that effort, I ended up falling in love with the game that, completely, it's just engulfed me. But the reason that I continued to play it later on was the friend groups that I was able to procure in the event of playing RuneScape in itself. I met Tylor because he made some YouTube videos back in the day, and I followed one of his guides. It was a guide to go kill, I think it was bronze dragons and iron dragons inside of the Brimhaven dungeon. I think that's what it's called, right? And so I found his guide, and I added him in game, and I was like, oh man, he added me back, sweet. And I was like, oh, this is a YouTuber, like this guy makes videos, and I'm friends with him. And now we're making podcasts together, and we've been best buds, since about then. So, I think that it's allowed for me to meet, me growing up in this small little town in Ohio. I've got to meet people from all over the place, and it's allowed for a lot of adventure in life. I've visited Tylor in California. I've visited him in Virginia. I mean, just all of that, just because I happen to play the same game as him, and we just figured out today that, we have a, quote-unquote mutual friend who has mutual ties between the two of us. And it's just what a small world. I don't know. It doesn't feel as small when you're looking at the map of Glynor. But I think,
awesome.
yeah,
That's
I
really
think
cool.
that that's my big reason as to why I played. I think that it allowed me to fit in.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. Going back to like, I think it was pretty much middle school when I started playing, and like we talked about before, middle school was kind of a bad time for me, and so it was nice to kind of go into a game where I didn't have any of those problems and anything like that. But
just random.
It was nice to be able to go in and kind of hang out and just have a good time and just kind of forget about all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man.
I
I think a lot of people attach to that same ideal too. Sorry, Tyler. Go ahead.
I just remembered. Did your mom get upset whenever she found out what your username was because it was too violent?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought it was.
They made me change. So my RuneScape name was Pyro Winner, and they associated that to Pyromaniac, and so they made me change my RuneScape name because they didn't like the idea of pyro being in it.
And you couldn't train your fire making.
Yeah, I was gonna say wait until she finds out about fire making. Holy moly!
I know.
She walks up behind you, sees you setting fires. Hunter! No! No!
Smashes him in the head with a Bible.
No, dude, they straight up they put me and my stepbrother in the car and drove us to a house that had just recently burnt down.
No!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry for interrupting for this, but I had no idea.
And they sat in front of the house and they said, "This is what irresponsibility looks like, and this is what, pyromaniacs do." And I was just like, what is happening right now?
You bet once they got at home and they were like on their own, not around you guys, they're probably like, "We nailed it. Yeah, we did really good on that. We parented the heck."
Wait, Jenny, isn't your brother a pyrotechnician?
Did we just make a TikTok? That was a TikTok right there.
That was a TikTok. Did we just tick the talk?
TikTok.
I think that's funny. I know a lot of people that had slightly offensive, maybe could be considered almost violent or usernames like that, and their parents totally took it way too serious.
Yeah.
Then again, in that age group, when you're just talking to all these strangers and all that stuff, I mean, it is a bizarre world because that was all pretty new.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying that what happened was not strange, but I'm just saying that I've heard all sorts of different things like that about all my friends. And I had a friend in his name was like, it was like Star something, and then the Star the Bomb or Star, and he had bomb in the name, Dub Bomb. And it was like, the bomb, the bomb diggity or whatever, that was kind of, and no, that's not okay. He got grounded for it, but it is what it is.
So what is your favorite video game, Hunter?
So I'm going to be different as per usual.
How dare you?
But I'm going to go back to a good classic here. And, I think we've all played it a good bit. I know me and Tyler have. And it's such a simple but fun and can be complicated game, but I'm going to go with Minecraft, actually.
Hey.
Yeah. Heck yeah, man.
A game that is just so simple and I mean, graphics and everything. It's such an easy game to get into, to play around and have fun, but then you can really kind of get into it a bit. And like when you're talking about like Redstone and stuff like that, I mean, you're basically talking about like basic electronic circuits and stuff like that. And it's stuff that you can really, you can kind of immerse yourself into it a lot. And like Tyler, you said, it's one of those games where you can kind of pause at any time. You can jump in whenever, and it's a fun game to play. So
I'd say, to touch on Minecraft, it's helped, I think, bridge the generational gap for a lot of people. You got people who played Minecraft in alpha, and now like their kids are playing it. I'll tell you, I never know how to talk to kids, but I'm really good at talking about Minecraft. And I'll get like on level with them, like, you gotta stay away from them creepers. Don't spiders sound creepy? And they're like, spiders do sound creepy.
It's so bad because I'll be at work and I'll be talking to my coworkers like, yeah, my daughters were playing Minecraft. I'm like, Minecraft? What are they doing?
What's their server name? Are they gonna grief me? You won't be a little chilled about it.
Here's the difference, though. These kids nowadays are building like computers in the game using redstone and stuff.
It's insane.
Man, when I was playing Minecraft a lot, and I've played with the two of you actually fairly often back in the day. I used to play with Tylor quite a bit, but I know that you guys knew how to use redstone and stuff. However, we were only like scratching the surface on.
Oh yeah.
I've seen some crazy stuff being built, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane, and it's stuff that makes sense in real life, like the way that the circuitry and stuff work. I mean, I know that on a technical level it doesn't, but you point A to point B, it does make sense.
I mean, I've honestly seen where a couple of colleges and universities were using it as a tool in some basic electronics classes, as well as they're using it in like basic architecture classes as well.
Oh, that's really super cool. Yeah, that is really awesome.
Yeah. It was definitely a cool game to get into, and it's actually funny how I started getting into it, because I had seen like a lot of YouTube videos about it and stuff, and me being that young, I never had the money to actually pay for the game or anything. So like I forget how I stumbled upon the Minecraft forum, but I was on there, and at that time you could actually gift the game to people, and I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna just throw it out there.
Shoot your shot.
I would love to be able to play this game, but don't have any money. If anybody wanted to be nice and gift the game, and like 30 minutes later, somebody was like, "Merry Christmas," and gifted me the game.
Okay.
And it was, I mean, like I am forever in debt to this person. I don't know who you are, but you have changed my life forever. And I wish I still had access to that, but for some reason I don't anymore.
That's awesome, man. I think that a lot of people hold on to Minecraft also for it doesn't get enough credit for the music. And when I hear the Minecraft music kick on, man, it soothes my soul. It does something to me. I get some chills, and like it's got a great sound. I mean, it's got nothing on Sea Shanty 2, but it's still pretty solid.
For a game that simple, I mean, it was a low budget game. When it was first made, it was very low budget, and to have culminated into something so crazy. I saw a graph pretty recently that was showing like the top grossing game in the past like 20 years, and Tetris was number one forever, and then all of a sudden Minecraft comes out of nowhere and just blows it all out of the water. It's insane.
Yeah, is it that animated graph that like shows it as it's progressing, and then like you see Minecraft and it just
yeah, it was a TikTok that was that graph, and then all of a sudden Minecraft just starts from the bottom. It's just boom. It's like immediately
bought by Microsoft. I mean, and then it just like and they start pumping. Could you imagine? I mean, how much money did he sell? Minecraft for? I mean, it was like.
I wish I knew.
Tyler's looking it up currently. Okay. I'd say it's probably upwards to. He's a billionaire, so I'd say he sold it for 800 mil. I'm just guessing 650.
$2.5 billion.
That is insane.
Yes. Whoa! I undershot that by a lot.
Microsoft purchased Minecraft and the developer Mojang from Notch for $2.5 billion.
That's crazy.
Imagine how much money they've made off of Minecraft if they would purchase it for that much.
Oh, I'm sure, but at the same time, he's just sitting back like, you know what, I did my work. I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah, dude, those are definitely, video game developer goals right there. Create something that's not even that difficult to come up with, but is such a unique design and idea that it takes off.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's super awesome. I like that question a lot, man. I think a lot of us have
your guys' responses. That's pretty cool.
Deep roots to our childhood video games right there.
Yeah. So, kind of talking about, what this did for you in your childhood and stuff, I'll start with you, Alex. Would you say there are any pros or cons to you playing video games or video games in general? And, do you think that they've ever helped you? I mean, you talked about being able to make friends through this, or do you think they've ever hurt you in life?
Yeah, I kind of scratched it a little bit there. I shouldn't have talked about why why it was so beneficial for me up front there on question number one.
No, it's all
but
good.
I think that the pros and cons section will take me long enough. So pros, there's obvious pros to playing video games. It's great for creativity. It's great for it's great for spending time in a safe place, saving money. It's awesome for a lot of things. But I think that a lot of people know about the pros because the pros are why you're actually playing it. You can just ask somebody why they like a game, and you can consider those all the pros that you want to. But I don't think enough people talk about the cons, and I think
that's kind of what I was hitting on mostly with this question, but it didn't want to just lead straight into cons.
Yeah, I gotcha. I think that I'll just go on a personal level. I think that'll be the easiest way for me to talk about it. I think that it perpetuates childhood obesity a smidge. Not necessarily obesity, but childhood laziness and inactivity, which could lead to childhood obesity. And I'm just saying that as a personal level. I was a very large boy, and I would say that if I would have spent a little bit more time outdoors playing instead of sitting inside playing video games, I probably would not have been in such a manner. But it is what it is. I lost the weight later on in life, and it's good stuff. But I definitely think that it hindered my early stage abilities, and it very well could have gone differently than me. It could have gone differently than that for me, and I could still be in the same stage that I was in back then if I would have never gotten out of that. And who knows? I'm not going to blame RuneScape for heart disease, but it very well could have caused it for me. And I think that a lot of it has to do with the idea of maybe these video game companies don't stress that enough that you need to get outside still.
Yeah.
And because they make less money when you're out there, so of course they're not going to try and tell you to go outside and have a good time when the sun's scary and you could stay inside playing video games until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, sleeping until 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then doing it all over again, rinse and repeat. That is pretty much how my summers went. That's how my summers went for a long time.
Yeah, I will say that I want to applaud Nintendo. When they came out with the Wii, they really pushed the whole fitness thing, and they even had the constant reminders to kind of put the stuff down and go outside just to have a break. I think that was pretty necessary, and I think I'd like to see it more prevalent in games and stuff. Yep. But obviously, like you said, developers aren't going to hit on that too much.
And that is actually exactly what I was talking about when I said that they should, be letting to get up and move around and stuff like that, because that is exactly what the Wii promoted and the Wii Fitness and all that. And I mean, the Wii literally, it got you sweating, and it was a fun time. And I know that I know that there's not a whole lot you can do with that in games like RuneScape and stuff like that, but I don't know, I just promote standing up and playing, or promote something, because you don't want to have circulation issues by the time you're an adult. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. And it's very prevalent too. It happens a lot. I know a lot of kids who they don't have great circulation in their hands and feet because of video games specifically, and they have bad back problems. I had awful back problems growing up because I would use a laptop and I would set that freaking laptop on the ground and lay on my stomach looking up this at the screen, man. And if I do that now, if I go lay on my bed and I lay in that position for an hour or so, I'm done for the next day because of all that time playing video games in that exact position. So there's just a lot of things that people need to be a little bit more cautious of, and I guess a lot of that can come in with, parents are normally. I would say parents are at fault for this just as much, obviously, but you're out of your parents', you're out of their way for a little bit.
Oh yeah.
You're not annoying them with your loud noises, and you're kind of doing your thing for a little bit, and they know you're safe because they can go in and check on you. So they're like, yeah, they're fine. They're just playing some video games. But if your parent would, if the parents would kind of talk, and that's what I'll do when I have kids. I'm not going to stop them from playing video games or anything like that because they're a huge part of my life. But I'll probably promote the whole idea of, yeah, but make sure that you're still getting up and stretching and moving around and stuff, and in some way, shape, or form. And I mean, I'll tackle that when I get to it in life, but just that sort of thing kind of worries me about this, especially this generation, because I mean, I didn't really start playing video games until I was probably 10, 11 or something like that. Kids these days are typically starting to play video games at 4 or 5 on their parents' tablets. And it starts at a very young age, and parents are getting used to the idea of... I didn't mean this to turn into like a me blaming parents situation, but I am noticing a lot of little kids who are babysat by iPads and tablets and stuff, and that's only going to get worse as they get older and more annoying. So, I think that those kind of things have to be looked at pretty cautiously, just to make sure that your kid's health is not going to be hindered in any way. I think that that's a dangerous thing that you need to make sure you're keeping an eye on. But other than that, man, RuneScape's a fun game.
That's awesome. I really like that. I like that you hit on the health side of it, because that's a huge thing, honestly, and nobody really talks about it. Tyler, what do you got for that?
So I also, right off the gate, my favorite thing to do, pros and cons list. So for pros, this is all stuff that I touched on a little bit in the first part, but save money was one I always looked at as a way to avoid going out, avoid being bored and spending money on something else. Not getting in trouble was a big thing.
Yeah.
See, as a nerd in high school, I was justifying it to my parents, being like, I'm not doing drugs, so we're good, right? And my parents were like, damn it, he's not. We're good, I guess.
We'd rather you be doing drugs, Tyler.
Yeah, my dad would be like, you a nerd?
Why can't you be a fun kid? Jeez.
It's a
shout
good
out
way.
to your dad. He might be listening.
Shout out to Dad.
What's up, John?
It was a good way to make friends. That's still probably a good way to make friends. I'm a little antisocial in the game. And mostly to upkeep adult relationships. Because really, especially being in the military, you move all around. It's hard to keep in touch with people that you do care about, you do want to check in on and speak with from time to time.
Yeah, even just as recently as last year with shutdowns and everything, it's nice to be able to hop on and kind of play with each other and,
I think kind of might go into, it is a little weird, but gender roles-ish, where Tiffany will like pick up the phone and call her girl best friend, and they'll talk for like an hour a day on the phone. Guys, like, we don't really do that.
No.
I don't have a problem with it, but like guys in general, I feel like there's some stigma. You call, you like, why you calling me, dude? But you ask if they want to play a game, and they're like, oh, fuck yeah, let's get on Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My final pro, sorry, I'm still in half of my pros and cons list because I love pros and cons lists. It can be used as a creative outlet or stress relief. I know people who don't work with their hands as much, people who don't really have a hobby, they don't have that creative outlet, and it can be kind of difficult to form a relationship like that. So video games, I think, kind of here easy right there, creative outlet.
I will say that, sorry, I know I keep interrupting you.
No, keep
but
going.
back when I got into video games and stuff, I didn't have too many hobbies. I mean, I was never good at sports. I never, at that time, wasn't doing any kind of working with my hands or anything like that. Nobody really taught me how to, work with my hands with tools or on cards or anything like that. So it just, at that time, I didn't have anything to do, really. There was no hobby. I wasn't good at anything. There was no artistic outlet. So video games definitely helped me in that way, just to give me that reprieve.
Yeah,
nice.
That's a really, I like that. That's a good take on it, especially seeing like these different Reddit threads and stuff about people producing cool video game gear, merchandise and stuff on their own. And I mean, those people are creating things based on a game that they probably played as a kid and may have had some influence on them doing that in the first place. You see like these pendants and different things that people are making, and shirts and awesome things like that. And it could lead to that being a feasible career path for them, just because they played a game and it struck an interest in them. So yeah, I think that's a good thing that people also don't really look at very often.
Yeah, for sure. What else you got?
I got cons. Are you guys ready for cons?
I'm ready.
Cons. Let's hear them. I'm ready.
Okay. So first one, I went more personal to like cons that I've experienced, and I'd say that first one, it's a massive waste of time. Like that's the purpose it serves. That's what it does. But realistically, if I said I've even halved the time that I spent playing RuneScape, I could do so many other things. I could have actually prepared to go to college, looked into stuff. I could have done way cooler stuff than. Especially, I liked video making. I could have done a lot more with that. That's something.
Well,
Could have used the games for
It also
that.
helps you get into video making.
That's a fair trade-off. But also,
Just
kind
bad
of,
example, but I understand what you're saying about it being a waste of time. Don't worry.
And then kind of touching similarly to what Alex said is it requires hours of sedentary time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, without getting like natural exercise throughout the day, even with the fast metabolism, you gotta supplement that. So
Yeah, and the sunlight too, man. I was sick all the time as a kid.
Vitamin D is important.
Yeah, it really is.
I'd say I took my pros and cons list and then answered the second question to see, do I think video games or RuneScape specifically helped me more than it hurt me? And I don't know if you guys went into this as well, but I'd say personally that it helped me more.
Same. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, and I've got some. Sorry, I'm just reading over here. I did this literally 30 minutes before we started calling, but I'm like, what is that? What did I write? In the end, I had fun, so it wasn't a waste of time. I had good dopamine feelings going. I made some really good friends, and I was able to apply some of the lessons that I learned in game to my real life, which I think anyone who's played RuneScape,
The Great Exchange.
money is number one.
Money's-
Flipping, how to manage your money. I for years managed my in-game RuneScape money way better than I manage my actual finances.
Amen to that, man. Amen to that.
Another thing, almost political, but you get all these noobs at the Grand Exchange there begging for money and stuff, and that was tempting to like just ask to mooch off of people. But another thing that it taught me is that nothing comes easy. You gotta figure out what you want, figure out what you need to do, and then go get it.
Makes you feel a lot better once you get it too.
Yeah. And then the third one, which might be a little bleak, but the grind is real is all I wrote. Like life, like anything you want is gonna be a grind.
Oh yeah.
And being able to keep with it is the only thing that really matters.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I like your con list. I like your con list a lot more than I like my con list, and I also like that you asked yourself, was it worth it? Would you go back and would you play less video games? I don't think I could, because I think that it's changed enough in my life in a positive way that it's hard for me to think about if I would have taken it, a different direction. But I think that meeting the people alone, and honestly, other than like the main friend group that I had growing up, I was not the best at socializing and meeting new people. And I think that it gave me, and also typing. It has really benefited my typing a lot. Like, wave 2, colon, all of that, all of the crazy messages that you used to have to send out. Typing 60 to 90 words per minute, that's an actual thing that you can put on a resume now.
Oh, yeah.
And I can only say that I can do that because of RuneScape, honestly. So that's a whole nother thing. It's helped me in working in marketing and stuff. I can type a lot, and it's fun. It's fun being able to tack away,
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, it's nice that you can kind of pinpoint it to real life skills. It's things that you can actually, like you said, put on a resume, and accolades that you can give yourself.
Yeah, I think that's this question was. I like how you chose these questions because they're a little bit less deep than the questions that we've been kind of coming up with for the last month or so. However, they made me think almost just as much, if not more, than the other ones, because it has been such a big part of my life that I really had to start thinking like, oh shoot, like my life has actually been impacted by these games, and a lot more than I thought that they have.
I'm sorry. I've got some weird stuff going on off camera right now.
Are you, is somebody twerking for you?
Almost. I could always show you.
Let's get a close in on this twerk.
This is recorded now. You can't do that.
Yeah, I know.
All right, cut video. 3, 2.
Yeah. All right. Anyway.
All right.
So I guess
I
I'll
can
touch
tell
on
too.
mine a little bit. You guys have hit a lot of the pros and cons. I wanna hit on one con, which was kind of big for me. Is more of like the social stigma that comes along with playing video games.
Yeah.
Coming from peers and parents and everything. I mean, even my girlfriend that's over here. I mean, that girlfriend Tylor right there. But
Hey.
no, but the social stigma, everybody, it's almost kind of looked down on. I will say it's been a lot more widely accepted now as it becomes such a huge thing, because let's face it, gaming in the past 10-15 years has become gigantic. But growing up with it and everything, you had a lot of kids and adults that would kind of look down on the time that you spend on these virtual realities. Parents that would tell me, why don't you live in the real world and go out and do something, and blah 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 blah.
Because people like you are in the real world, Karen.
So that's kind of a con for me. It's just I don't want to relate it to adversity, but at the same time, it was almost a little bit.
Well, did you ever lie to people about playing RuneScape specifically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With how my dad was about it, I remember for years like, no, I don't play that.
I'm not a nerd.
I do like sex on girls and everything.
Yeah, we did it in that one house in Barrett, but whatever.
I spend my weekends drinking beers.
Wait, did you just say you fucked Gertrude? Like from Gertrude the cat?
Yes.
Oh shit.
No, but that was the biggest con that I had growing up with.
Oh man. I was like, I'm sorry.
This is
was
such a
great.
nerdy episode, and I love it,
Yeah.
man. I love it so much.
Can we just
Because nobody's gonna have any idea what we're talking about unless they've actually played the game,
Okay.
and I love that. That's hilarious.
So for the rest of the episode, I think that we should just do a table read of the Goblin Diplomacy quest.
Yeah.
We'll do little
Okay,
characters.
good. I've got
voices.
that on my desktop actually, ready to go. So.
All right, cool.
This is it. I thought it was episode 7. Oh, okay, yeah, let's do it.
I actually started by writing complaints about not being able to wear the goblin mail, but that's just my opinion on the matter. But the social stigma around it, I think that it's really cool growing up though, and it is a lot more well accepted than it used to be, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But it's you learn now that the people that were making fun of the people who were playing RuneScape and other nerdy games like that back in the day, they're still playing it just like we are. And they never stopped playing it, and they were playing it while making fun of you. So they just were doing the same thing that we're talking about now by the whole social stigma thing. The jock guys who were like, no, RuneScape? What is a run escape, Like, oh, the hyphens, but after the E, I don't care, I'm playing football. And then they would go home and play RuneScape. And you'd be like... So you're learning that now, and now those are the people who are like sending me RuneScape memes on Snapchat and stuff, and I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I still get some shit about it from some coworkers, because one coworker I've played some games with before, so like I'll just come in from a weekend off, and they're like, oh, were you and Jason sitting there crossing swords online last night? And I'm just like, fuck off, man. But at this point, you just kind of have to embrace it. Be like, oh man, it was like a 3-hour sesh. We crossed so good. It was fantastic.
You gotta lean into it.
That's when you got to start lying to them and being like, yeah, man, I was selling some stuff, and I cashed out $1,200 this week on in-game currency, and then they start to get interested in it, and then they start to get jealous, and then and then you have to tell them you were lying, but that's okay because they felt bad.
I just lean in way too hard. I make it awkward for them. So.
Like
that's such a weird thing to make fun of people for, playing video, especially nowadays. Like now that we're full-blown adults and we're doing the whole adulting thing, I'm like, when I find out that somebody plays a video game, I'm like, I get it. Yeah, me too. I understand it completely.
Right.
It's your little getaway.
Yeah. Sorry, Jim, that I don't just sit at home and drink all night, but I have a life.
Fuck you, Jim. Oh.
I drink while playing RuneScape.
I mean, I'll drink while gaming too, but I didn't want to say that, so.
I gotcha, yeah. Yeah, it's fine though. I mean, he drinks and yells at his wife, so it's different.
Yeah, to each their own, right?
Whatever makes you happy, I guess. All right, anyway.
I don't yell at my wife. She's really cooler than me, and she'll beat me up.
She'll beat you up. I was talking about Jim's
Beat
wife,
me
not
up.
your wife, Tiffany. I love Tiffany. Or Tyler. I love Tiffany. Who are coming to visit me tomorrow,
Tiffany,
by the
I love
way.
Tyler.
Tyler and Tiffany are coming into my town to come and visit me tomorrow, and I'm super excited. It's gonna be a great time, and we're gonna throw down.
I'm gonna stop by your house first. I'm gonna scream out Doyle rules, and I'm gonna throw a bunch of fruits in your window.
Oh, Doyle rules! It better be fresh fruits, highway fruits. The good stuff.
They'll be technically fruits, so they'll be tomatoes.
Okay, tomato. Oh
There
no!
you
So
go.
technically a smoothie, as in Heinz ketchup.
We
I'm not
start a new
comfortable with
podcast.
that.
How does that
No,
make you
there is
feel?
one. We could start one there's a podcast called A Hot Dog is a Sandwich where they do stuff like that. And we could just ask, is ketchup a smoothie?
I mean, if you boil it down to just definition, it has to be. But I don't like it. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
I don't think it is a smoothie because I feel like to be a smoothie, yes, you've blended a tomato, but I think you've got a sauce, and honestly, it's a barbecue sauce, or actually barbecue sauce is ketchup.
No, barbecue sauce is ketchup
Yeah,
for sure.
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like one of the main ingredients. But
Yeah.
so, okay, this is probably a discussion for a different day. But do you know what the definition of a smoothie is? What if you add ice?
See, that's okay. That's what I think. If you add some kind of ice or something in there, then it would be a smoothie.
Okay.
So-
Tyler, what?
I've got a different definition for smoothie that our mutual friend who was a nuke will understand, because a colloquial term in the nuclear community is smoothie or smooth crotch is what you call a specific rate of nukes, which electronics technicians. They're smoothies because they don't have any genitals.
Okay, so so a lot of things are now considered smoothies because I've never had a hamburger that had genitals before.
That's the
Man.
line.
Oh my god! Thank you. I'm definitely using this definition for the rest of my life.
I am too. Somebody's like, "Hey, you want a smoothie?" I'm like, "It depends. What's the genitals on that thing look like?"
You gotta get a look at the dick on it. I'm gonna stir a little bit more thoroughly next time.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Oh man. All right. Yeah, that's a good one.
Moving on.
Moving on.
With that segue, so Alex, you definitely touched on what you would and would not do with games and with your kids in the future and stuff like that. So kind of talking on gaming in the future, with technology kind of growing exponentially as it has been, and it will continue to do so. What do you imagine video games being, in the next 10, 15 years, or when you have kids that are playing video games?
So I like this question because, not only do I get excited thinking about my kids playing video games and all the video games I get to share with them and enjoying time playing video games with
All
them.
the video games I get to crush them at.
All the video games that I get to beat them at and make them cry. So, I mean, I have friends that I went to high school with and stuff that have kids old enough to play video games and are playing video games. So I guess I would just say 10 to 15 years, which would be more feasible for me.
Mm-hmm.
How do I think that video games would look in the next 10 to 15 years? So I guess it's a question of how much farther can consoles and computers go in the next 15 years? Because look how far they've come in the last 15 years. It's been a lot. Thinking about the kind of machine that I used to run RuneScape on, now I can play it anywhere at any time on my phone. That's crazy. So, in the next 15 years, I'm assuming that it's going to have to become more... You're going to be more... I guess VR, man. I that's the only way that I can say. VR is probably going to be just a lot bigger than it is now. And I think that when it comes down to how they're gonna, I don't know what they're gonna be, because trends change, biggest games change all the time. What's kind of on the top, but there's always those, there's war games, then there's like nerdy MMORPG games like RuneScape, World of Warcraft, Skyrim, Morrowind, all Oblivion, stuff like that. And then you've got your sports games, and then you have puzzle games and stuff, and those are like your main games, and those are probably never going to change, I would say, because I can't think of, it would be hard for somebody to introduce a new like a new genre of game technically, right. Because lots of ideas and designs already are out, so they're just going to keep changing and getting more creative with what we already have as far as the descriptions of the game go. But I think seriously that they're just going to become more and more immersive. I think that they're going to become more to the point of you be like Ready Player One type of situation.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna, and I don't think that that's gonna help anything as far as the what we were talking about, the cons of the second question there. But I think that also, you get a cool running treadmill type situation with a headset on. I mean, these kids are probably going to be pretty fit because they're going to be chopping wood in real life.
I mean, a lot of these things have already been in development and stuff. People have made these setups and everything. I mean, right now they're not cost effective, but the thing is, they are in the works, So.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, like Ready Player One is all based off of stuff that is all, it's all real technology. It's just not ready for person. But also, I mean, virtual reality. Think about, as a kid, when people said virtual reality, I mean, your mind starts to go to places of wondering, what in the world is VR, virtual reality? What is that? It would be like, iRobot or something would come on when I was a kid, and they would talk about VR, virtual, some kind of, and I'd be like, that is the future. I mean, and we have VR now, and it's not that expensive. I mean, an Oculus goes for what, $400 or $500 probably.
It goes for $350 if you use our discount code in the link below.
Use discount code BNE.
But like you said, as we continue to develop these things further, like the price and the cost is just going to keep dropping lower and lower as the technology is getting better and better. So,
yeah, absolutely, and that's, I guess that's the question that is number 3 is, what do I think it's going to be like for them? And I don't know, but I got to admit, I'm excited to find out.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think that it's going to be something that I'm going to be able to indulge in just as much as they are, because I know my roots are in video games and stuff, so I don't think that's ever something that I'm going to let go completely. And especially, when I'm a grown adult with kids and doing adult stuff and running around, and I'm like, oh, this game looks kind of fun. Next thing I know, they're sleeping and I'm up at 4 a.m. on a work night because this game is far better than more immersive than anything I've ever experienced before.
Right.
So I'm excited to see where it goes. As far as where it goes, I mean, I guess we're gonna have to find out. But I think that the VR immersive kind of capabilities, I think it's kind of heading in that direction. Whether or not it's gonna take over all over, I'm not sure. But the different. Like South Korea or Korea, they love their video games, and the kind of technology that they're developing over there is insane as far as video games go. And we're kind of a couple steps behind, as on a couple different levels, but different types of screens that I've just seen cool videos of stuff on TikTok and stuff, and it's just, I'm excited for it. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I agree. Tyler?
So I agree a lot with what Alex is saying. I think, going on to my answer from a couple podcasts back with the future of computing, I think that the human-machine interface is going to change in a dramatic way. It's already gotten more convenient, put it in the palm of our hands 24/7. I do think virtual reality is the way of the future. I think there's some real engineering challenges that it has up against it as far as how are we going to bring a full immersive experience. And I like the two questions that I came back and forth in my mind is it going to be Ready Player One type scenario, or is it going to be more Black Mirror? I'm thinking the episode not where he makes out and fucks his best friend, but the one with the have you seen the Black Mirror episode where he puts himself into a game and he has a simulation where it's based off Star Trek?
I have not seen
Yeah,
that.
I have seen that one. Yeah.
Essentially, he puts a little thing on his temple and he leans back and he's like unconscious and he can't move his body at that point.
So basically, it's on his head at that point.
All in his head. And
Okay.
that way you can feel literally everything. Full, like, direct link to your brain telling you what to feel.
Neuralink
And I
video
think
games.
That sort of technology. Obviously, when you're talking about just, like, our generation's kids, that's probably not going to be a thing. But in the long term,
I think that
before-
you're forgetting about Neuralink, man.
that's what I'm mentioning.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
And I think-
I destroyed your run there.
VR, as it is right now, I think is a little too clunky, a little too involved, and a little too expensive for it to be like take over everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Until the technology works where the sort of Neuralink or closer to that technology exists and is cost effective. That's where I think you're really going to see virtual reality shoot off, and I do think we're going to get there.
I think we'll probably see it in our lifetime, I'd say. Maybe not in our kids. Our kids might not grow up with it, but I don't think that it's too kind of out of pocket to say that their kids might grow up with it. I think that their kids are going to grow up in a technological... man, it's going to be advanced. It's going to be stuff that, sitting there trying to teach my dad how to not type with two fingers. Imagine what they're going to try and teach us in the future. It's gonna be crazy. Also, Dad, if you're listening to this, that was not an insult. Okay, I like the way you type. Okay, I appreciate it.
Well,
He's still typing in bacon and eggs. He can't.
Let me ask you guys this, because Tyler, you definitely hit on something with smartphones and having this amazing computer right in the palm of your hands. Where do you think there's any more of a future in gaming in regards to smartphones or maybe other handheld devices? I mean, recently we've had the Switch, and I think that took off pretty huge. I mean, they were sold out for a long time due to COVID and stuff. People wanted to get their hands on them. And do you see these handheld, games going anywhere huge, or are we mainly going to stay on like a bigger type of rig?
See, I think you sort of get diminishing returns out of what you can really do whenever you're constantly downsizing the technology. And we've seen a little bit of pushback where phones have, gotten larger even. I can't imagine...
Larger and thinner.
Yeah, I can't imagine that ratio skewing to make it functional to play a game on it without changing the human-machine interface.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
I don't... I mean, maybe that's a little closed-minded, but I don't really see mobile gaming being the way of the future.
Okay.
I don't think that battery capabilities are going to ever make it that feasible.
Well,
I got to be honest with you.
If we're talking about batteries, there's some pretty great things in the works. I mean, you've got what's the new one that's supposed to be coming out? It's supposed to be better than the lithium ion.
Is it nickel zinc?
Is that what it is? I mean, it's supposed to charge faster. It's a more stable battery, and it's supposed to have like a lot longer battery life. It's supposed to be just all around completely better battery.
Oh, we could talk about batteries. Make everything better. Oh man,
Everything.
I get on how battery technology is what's holding us back right now. Not like the only thing, but it's like a big thing because you can only store energy as DC power for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And every single generating plant that we have, bar photovoltaics, is AC. You spin a turbine, you get AC. You have to transmit all your power as AC because it has lower losses. This is getting onto a tangent. I'm sorry. But you can only store so much in a battery. Batteries take up a lot of space. Batteries have complicated charge and discharge profiles associated, so like you can damage a battery by how you operate it.
Right.
So increasing battery capacity, longevity, transmission rate, how fast it can discharge and charge is massive with how our energy grid actually works. That's my opinion.
You'd be the one to know about batteries, honestly, as far as the different... I'm sure that you've learned a lot about batteries too, right?
The taste, mainly.
Yeah, I know how to check a battery. You stick your tongue to a 9-volt.
True.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I know that doesn't feel great, and if it doesn't feel great, then it's full, and that's about as much as I know about batteries. But I mean, I've heard Elon talk about Elon. I say that like I freaking know the guy personally. Yeah, my boy
Last night when
Elon.
I was talking
Yeah.
to Elon,
Yeah, when Elon and I, after JR's podcast, I was chilling with him back in the green room, but no, I've heard him talk about all of the different aspects that come along with, people ask him all the questions of how far can your vehicle go? How far can your new truck go? And it always boils down to him talking about how crappy modern day batteries truly are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
compared to how overly developed everything else is in terms
Right.
of, it's very feasible. You just got to have the right battery for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, moving a little bit back towards the gaming stuff here, I got another question for you guys, and that's kind of going back to mobile games. What do you think? What do you think about the infrastructure of mobile games? Because a lot of it has to do with microtransactions, and do you think you get the same return from a mobile game that you do playing on PC or on a console or anything?
No. I'll personally say no. I don't think so. I played RuneScape Mobile, and I'll enjoy it as like a thing to do when I'm really bored or like waiting for something. But I would never choose that experience over the desktop. So I'm going to personally say no, but I'm also pretty limited. I haven't played many mobile games.
Alex, do you have any input?
Yeah, so I think that people just weigh their personal time differently. And I think that some people get their kicks out of, they spend a little bit of money and they're able to get a little bit farther in the game that maybe they're interested in or that their friends are interested in. They're able to stay at the same pace as them by pumping a little bit of more, a little bit of money into it, whether that be, microtransactions obviously are not limited to just mobile games. They are just completely overfilled within mobile games.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to find a mobile game that does not have microtransactions to some capacity. But, I guess it just goes with, see, when I would work really hard to obtain a goal in RuneScape or whatever, it would always suck when I saw somebody who purchased money in-game get that exact same thing as me by just having to ask their parents for money or something.
Right.
And now, that's not fair for me to make them feel bad about it because they got to enjoy the same game I got to enjoy. They just didn't have to put as much work into it. Now, I enjoyed putting the work into it. It made me feel good by getting to that whatever that goal was for me. But maybe for them, what they get the enjoyment out of is actually just using these cool items to go kill cool monsters, which is my goal, more or less, was to get this object so that I could then kill the monsters with these higher level players.
Right.
So I guess it just depends how you weigh your personal time, how you want to spend your money and all that. Because like Tylor said, it's a good way to save money, but it's also a good way to blow money if you also want to enjoy the same amount of fun that everybody else is.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm gonna throw kind of my opinion out there on the first question that I asked. Going back to it, kind of for me, what I think the future is gonna be is kind of a combination of what you guys have said. Well, the big thing being VR and stuff like that, and the whole time I'm thinking Ready Player One. Ever since I asked the question or typed the question out, I'm like Ready Player One. Just because I do think, like I said, with technology advancing and production prices getting lower, I do think that this could be something that could be, in itself its own rig. I mean, possibly, say it's just a console in and of itself, instead of being an add-on to a PlayStation, this is your device. But I also think that a huge thing that's going to be happening is something that we talked about before, which is cloud computing, and which is making everything so much faster, so much more accessible.
It's a really good point,
and
man.
It's actually something that's going to allow people with these worse systems and setups to be able to play a lot of the same games that other people are. With all the advancements in cloud computing, people are going to be able to have a somewhat entry-level computer and not have to spend so much money building it and upgrading it in order to, enjoy the same things that other people are. Because, I mean, like we said, like, going back to middle school and stuff, we didn't have the money to build these computers and everything, and a lot of the games that were on PC, they weren't that advanced. Well, one, because it was still a pretty new thing, but two, because like people couldn't handle it. Nobody was building PCs like that back then, and so that's my opinion. It's just cloud computing for one, and then definitely VR. When it's gonna happen is iffy to say. I hope it happens in my kid's lifetime so that we can experience it together. But I definitely think that's the direction it's going to go to. Not to say that I definitely think consoles are still going to be there and computers are still going to be there, but I hope that these additions will make it better.
Have either of you used VR?
I've played around with other people's VR, but I don't have one.
Yeah, I don't have an Oculus, but I've definitely used one before, and it makes me a little bit motion sick after about 30, 40 minutes. But maybe using it after a while, real life would make you motion sickness.
I have one experience with VR, and it was I don't know if I've told you guys a story.
No.
There's a chief on my boat who brought little Oculus goggles underway. Apparently, you could watch videos you have downloaded on your phone with it.
Gross.
And so
Gross.
He showed me virtual reality porn, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, I knew where that was going immediately.
Yeah. Nice.
So that's what submarines are like.
Well, I mean, you told us that you had one experience. Now you haven't told us how this experience went. Go ahead and keep going.
I just saw it, and I was like, "Holy crap!" And
This
I was
is
able
weird.
to look around.
How does it make me feel it as well?
Chief, where'd you go?
Oh.
So that's how we got off on deployment. There are no women on a submarine, so we just took turns with the goggles.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you use a moist towelette to wipe it off at least?
There was no wiping off. We're good.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Mr. Alex is dead. If you've got to this point in the podcast, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's a good chance that he did, and the rest of my family is probably listening. Erica, I know you're listening. Tyler, you know Erica.
Erica? I thought you were waiting for her to respond. Like,
No,
Erica, I know you're listening.
I expected her to be guys, I've been listening.
I knew that you were going to do the Erica thing, but
Erica.
she's been watching the podcast a lot lately, and she's been like my number one fan. So shout out to her and her coworker who listens to me too. I think that's pretty cool. But I'm sorry if you've heard anything that offends you during any of these podcasts, family. I do this out of love, and this is the real me.
I've got to push the envelope at least once. I can't let the FCC get me down.
That's right. I think we've pushed it a good bit.
Have
Yeah.
We've hit it a couple times.
We've hit it a couple times. It's kind of hard to tell these days, honestly, because I hear a lot of different podcasts say a lot of crazy stuff, especially the podcasts that are talking about, like all of the murder podcasts and true crime podcasts and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they say that's pretty heinous, and I know that it's within, it's within the limits of their story and stuff, but at the same time, it's like, man, I feel like if I said this in my podcast, we'd probably get flagged for it or something. But I think so far that we've had a pretty good run. I think our questions are pretty... I think it's more of the, not the topics that might get us in trouble. I think it might be the small talk in the middle.
Yeah, it's a little bit of the commentary.
Touching on that, business proposal for you guys. I know we're getting towards the end here, but virtual reality glory hole. And I'll leave it at that. I think we've got it. We've got our sign-up sheet. It's going to be great.
Like, you're talking glory hole like a geyser, right? More or less. Yeah, okay.
yeah.
FCC, let's, I think that we just struck it right there. This one's not going to be monetized, by the way, and none of them have been yet, so somebody please monetize us, please. Good Lord. But honestly, Hunter, I wanted to just say that I appreciate these questions because this is not something that we've talked about a lot, and I think a whole episode about video games is super cool because they're all questions that are applicable elsewhere. And it made me... These are all... Listen, we're all nerds. We all played a lot of video games growing up. And it's not something that we've talked about yet. And I'm glad that we did, because it's kind of the only reason why we are all sitting here talking. So when I read these questions for the first time on 5/15, I'm looking at the date right here. It's been a little bit since we've procured an episode. But when I read those questions, I was like, this is going to be a really fun episode, because it's kind of the joining force of all of our lives, you know?
Yeah.
Or at least it's how they let us intertwine. And great episode, man. Great questions, great answers.
Questions.
This is a really fun episode for sure.
I couldn't believe
It's really
we
laid
hit an hour
back
already.
I know, honestly. I looked down and I was like, man, we're literally just talking about video games, and next thing I know, we're hitting 58, 59 minutes.
Oh, there's so many things to go on about too. Like, questions just keep popping in. I'm like, no, stop, you can't do it. But
yeah, we can save them for your next time around, because I think that there's enough people that do play video games that circling it back to questions about them later on might be future fun episodes. And just throwing one in there is not even a bad idea. You don't have to have a whole episode about it, but this whole episode has been fantastic.
Yes, I agree. I want to thank you guys for joining me again for another great episode of Bacon and Eggs. And I want to thank everybody that has listened or watched, because we are now on YouTube. Thank you all for listening to this. If you've gotten through it, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, and a lot of the other smaller podcast apps as well. You can find us, as I said, on YouTube.
And anywhere that you find your favorite podcast.
We also have affiliate links on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. If you'd like to follow us there and send us any feedback, that is definitely, we're wanting as much feedback as we can possibly get. So
I'm not ready for it.
Tyler's perfect, so. But no, thank you everybody, and thank you guys for being here, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you guys. Thanks for listening or watching.